I'm Janie and this is Talia and this is Yoga for Golfers. So we're going to start by just coming into a stance and taking a really solid stance, because when you're beginning your golfing, this is what you're doing. So you want to just feel a really strong stance here and then breathe a couple of breaths. Inhale and exhale. And then begin to shift your weight side to side. Try and keep your hips level. And just notice how you shift on one foot and then the other. And just take a few more, shifting on the right and then the left. Good. And then come back to center. I'll go a little behind you, Talia. And then what we're going to do is just swing your arms side to side and release your opposite heel. Because as you swing through, it's really important. And look behind you, warming up the spine. These are called spirals. We're spiraling around. And really that's the biggest motion when you drive your clubs through. Good, now look straight ahead as your neck stays, and then you still release your opposite heel. Good. And then come back to center. And now let's take your left leg in front and then release your arm and just get some blood flow and circulation to your arms. So your shoulders are the most flexible joint in your body and you want to keep your shoulders strong. Let's reverse and go the other way. Breathe deeply here. Good. And then let's change sides. So left leg back, and we'll swing it around. 2, like a big propeller for 6 in one direction, and then reverse. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Good. And now stand yourself up, and then goal post your arms. I'll step a little behind you. Bend your knees slightly, and now with your hip bones facing forward, imagine you had headlights, face them forward, just your upper body's going to twist and look over towards your right. And you're going to feel the back muscles begin to cramp. Pull your elbows back towards the back. Good, come back to center. And now other side. Twisting. And then look back towards your left so you get that same twist in your neck. Hold and breathe. Good, and now come back to center and just release, shake out. Good, now we're gonna, we've just contracted those muscles, now we're gonna stretch them. Let's take your left arm up and your right arm out. Cross your arms, and option 1 is to stay here. Option 2 is to come up and either grab onto your thumb or your clap your hands together. And then slight bend of your knees, and I'm going to turn sideways so you can see my spine. Now drop your head and then release. So you want to feel the back side of your body stretching, the rhomboids in between your shoulder blades, your scapulas. Take one more breath here. Really breathe into your back. Good, and now slowly come up and release your arms and just circle your shoulders. And then hang over and just relax your arms a little bit. Good. Slowly roll up. And now the right arm up and the left arm down. So variation 1 or variation 2. And sink into your slight little chair. And then drop your chin towards your chest and round over like you're hunching your back. So you can stretch those back muscles. And take a couple of breaths in between your scapulas, the rhomboids. Good, and then slowly come up, release your arms, and then let's step back just a little bit. So we're going to move into our half moon to get our side body. So inhale the arms up, interlace your fingers, and bring your feet together. And if it's not comfortable to bring your feet together, then you can keep them open a few inches. But let's reach way up out of your hips and go over to your left. And send your hips to your right. Good. So this is variation 1. If you want to intensify this posture, bend your left knee and you'll feel like you can go a little bit deeper. Yeah. And just open up the intercostal muscles. Good, and come on up. Take a deep breath in, reach up as high as you can. Bend let's go over first. Go over to your right. And you want to try and keep the weight equally on both feet, so you're not leaning onto one side. And if your elbows are bent, see if you can straighten out your elbows. Pull your navel in, and now see if you can bend your right knee, and you'll intensify that side body stretch. Breathe deeply into this stretch. Good, and now slowly come back up and release. Whew, that was intense. And just shake out a little bit. Good, so now we're gonna open up the shoulders a little bit, and I'm gonna show you at the wall, and then Talia will show you down. Actually, Talia, why don't you go down on your belly, and then you're gonna bring your left arm out to the side and make a 90-degree angle, so bend your elbow. Good. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna turn your body, so use your right hand to turn, and then you can either bend your knees or they can be straight. And so what you're doing is you're opening up your pectoral muscle right here. You wanna make sure that that muscle is nice and open. And if you have a wall, you can do it at the wall too, by taking if you imagine the wall as a dial of a clock, 12, 6, 3, and 9, put your hand at the 3 and turn towards the 9. And then I'm dropping my shoulder down and I'm trying to release my ribs. So I open up my pectoral muscle here and take a few more breaths. Whatever variation you feel like gets into that front of your shoulder. Good, and then release, and you can come onto your belly if you're on the floor, and let's do side 2. So now the right arm would go out, and yeah, you goal post, and I call it, turn. And now I'm gonna face the wall. I'll do the wall variation. My hand goes to the 9 o'clock, and I face the 3. And if you're at the wall, you wanna make sure that you're lifting up and dropping your ribs down and standing up as tall as you can. Then you turn towards the front of the room. So if you think of the wall as the back, then the front of the room would be in front of you. And I'm giving a nice twist to my head as well. Take one more breath. Good, and then slowly release. And then come up onto your hands and your knees. And then drop onto your forearms. Good, and then sink your hips back. Keep your forearms down and melt your heart, but keep your hips lifted even though you shift back a little bit. And you're getting a really nice stretch in the latissimus dorsi. Those are those big Michael Phelps muscles. But it's good to just really open up your shoulders, because when you drive your club, you need to have a lot of flexibility and strength in your shoulders. Good, and then slowly come back up. Keep your forearms down, and now bring your hips down and come into Sphinx. So bring your elbows under your shoulders. So bring your arms up just a little bit more, yeah. And then if you want to intensify this, squeeze your legs together. Good. And now slowly come down. And now we're going to build a little strength in our shoulders by coming into low plank. So come up onto your forearms and then tuck your toes underneath and lift your hips. And try and keep your spine as long as you can, and the head reaches out away from your heels. Think about your inner thighs lifting up and pull your abdominals in, and just stay for a couple more breaths here. Deep inhale and exhale. Good, 2 more breaths. Inhale, exhale. Good, last breath in. And release your hips down and bring your arms down and just rest for a couple of breaths. You can bring your arms down by your side. Good. And now bring your hands under your shoulders, and we're going to tuck our toes and push up into our high plank and then downward facing dog, lifting up in your hips. Good, and just paddle out your feet here, the right heel down and the left heel down, just to stretch out your legs. And then when you're golfing, you take this really intense spiral swing through. So we're gonna do a spiral twist. So now lift your right leg up and step through into a runner's lunge. Good. And then if you want to put your back knee down, you can. So that's variation 1. You can point through your toes, or you can put your heel up. So I'll tell you start in variation 1. Take your left hand down on the mat under your left shoulder, and then turn your body towards the right and reach your right arm up. So that's variation 1. So you're getting this twist from your navel to your ribs, stacking that right shoulder over the left and then reaching up and twisting through the head. Variation 2 would be to tuck the back toes and extend your back leg up. So that puts a little more intensity into it. And we'll stay for just a couple more breaths, lengthening through your spine, strengthening all the muscles around that spiraling twist. Good, and now release your back knee, point through the toes, bring your arms down, and step back into your down dog. So lifting up, stretching the heels down or paddling out your feet, and take one breath in and breath out. And now we'll do side 2. So now the left leg lifts and step it through and find either high lunge or low lunge. First we'll start with a low lunge variation, point through the toes, and then take the right hand down and you're twisting. She's stacking her left shoulder over her right, lengthening through the spine, and she's twisting from the navel to the ribs, to the shoulders, and to the head. Or if you want variation 2, tuck your back toes, lifting up. So you're pushing back in your heel, but at the same time you're lengthening through the crown of the head, and then the navel initiates the twist. Navel, ribs, shoulders, and you're breathing deeply. It's really important that you breathe here to feed your muscles with energy. Good, now come on down, release your back knee, point through the toes, and the arm can release down. And again, step back, push into your hands, and then paddle out your feet, right heel and left heel. And then bend your knees, walk your feet into your hands, and shift the weight onto your feet, and then just slowly roll yourself up. Take your time. And just a couple more stretches before you go out there on that course. And open up your legs nice and wide. Good. Feel really solid here. And then interlace your fingers back behind you. Stretch your elbows, lift through your heart, and then forward fold as your arms go up. And if this is too intense for your arms, just drop your arms down. Otherwise, release your head down. And then take some breaths here into the backs of your legs, stretching out the hips and the hamstrings. And then you want to try and reach your arms as high as you can. And taking a few breaths, bringing weight more towards the balls of your feet. Deep inhale and exhale. Good. One more breath, inhale. And now release your hands. If they're clasped behind you, just release them down on the ground. And take one more full breath here. And exhale. Now bring your hands onto your hips, bend your knees, lead with your heart, and slowly come all the way up. And just pause once you come up. Breathe. Good. Now let's bend your knees. Take your hands down on, you can turn your fists in. And now looking over your right shoulder, take your left shoulder towards your right knee and give yourself a nice twist and breathe. And then shift over to the other side, looking over towards your left. So just feel that inner thigh stretch. And let's do it one more time to each side. Good. And then the other side, looking, breathing. Nice. And then come up And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to go down on the ground and we're going to do a spiral, strengthening our muscles around our spine. So let's have a seat on the floor. And then let's bring our legs out. I'll show one variation and you can show the other. So the first thing you're going to do is bend your knee and cross it over. Good. And then your left arm reaches up. And then if you can, hook your elbow into your knee and take your right hand behind you. Then we're going to twist starting from the navel. So you extend your spine up, navel, and then ribs, and then shoulders, and then head. The second variation would be, and I'll do that, is to bring your leg in, but to try and keep your sits bones on. So you get a deep stretch in your hips. And breathe a couple more breaths. So the sequencing is lifting up as you inhale, and then twisting navel, ribs, shoulders, and head around. Opening up through your shoulders, broaden through your collarbones, and take one more breath. Good, and then untwist your body and bring your legs, untwist your legs, and you can windshield wiper the legs side to side just to release the muscles.
I was waiting for you to come back.
Oh, because I didn't
Yeah.
want to do the same side. Okay. All right, and then let's do side two. So left knee is going to bend now. And then reach it around, right arm reaches up, and hook so it's the opposite arm to leg that you're holding, and I'll do the second variation if you have that flexibility. And then you lift up and you twist navel, ribs, shoulders, and your head, opening up collarbones. Deep inhale lengthens you. Exhale, spin your navel around to the back. And take a couple more breaths here. So this is really getting blood flow and circulation around the vertebral column. Really important for the health of your spine and the health of your swing in your golfing. Good. Come back around, untwist, and unfold your legs. And now just the feet can windshield wiper. And then let's hang over. So let's reach up, take a deep breath, and exhale over. And if you're really tight here, just bend your knees and hang over as far as you can. If you have a belt at home or even a bathrobe belt, put it around your feet and just pull yourself slightly forward. And that is really nice to open up the back side of your body. It helps to stretch your hamstrings. Good, and then slowly come back up. And that should help your game. So Yoga for Golfers, thank you, and namaste.